I think, yeah, well, yes. I think the only way it works realistically is in layers.
Okay.
Which is how any financial system, any complex financial system is developed, right? So you have basically Bitcoin as the base layer, you have Lightning, and then you have different levels of custody on top of that. You could have things like Cash App, right? So it's Cash App can scale to tons of people, but of course you're trusting Cash App. You're giving up some degree of the permissionless. Then you have those things like federated Chalming mints that can be a on the spectrum between self custody and third party custody. You can have these kind of distributed custodies. So I think when you combine multiple layers and technologies together, people can kind of choose their own adventure on how far down the Bitcoin stack they want to go, or what their economic reality allows them to go, right? So someone with a lot of Bitcoin might want to go deeper on the Bitcoin stack, whereas a lot of other people might want to rely on those federated custody services or fully custody services, or just have their own kind of Lightning setup. So in the free banking era, there was a discount based on one is how much you trusted the originator of that issuance, and then two, how far you were from it, how liquid it was. So for example, the Bank of Arkansas, let's call it, if you lived right near the Bank of Arkansas, it'd probably trade 1-to-1 because it's super liquid. Whereas if you're in New York, you're like, I don't want the Bank of Arkansas note. I'll buy that for 80 cents.
Yeah, fuck Arkansas.
Because I got to do all this friction to get it ever redeemed. Yeah. I have to get it to Arkansas. And I don't really trust it, right? Yeah. So you'd have these different levels of pegs. We actually kind of see that today with USDC and Tether, right? So during the whole Luna fiasco, USDC, their attestation shows 100% T-bills and cash, whereas Tether has a portfolio model where they hold some of those, but they also hold some assets that do have risk. And they also have this longer track record of people questioning their asset quality. And so you had more people want to redeem Tether. Tether is trading at a discount, whereas USDC was trading at either full or sometimes a premium. And so you have different levels of how the market assesses their risk and arbitrages that. So some people say, okay, you want to sell me Tethers for 95 cents? I'll go ahead and redeem them for dollars. And so you have someone willing to step in and arbitrage that. So yeah, basically in an era that is like that, including the one right now, if there are questions about liquidity or solvency, you get a discount compared to the underlying Bitcoin that it represents.
It's fascinating. We're living in an era where we could genuinely see a transition to a completely new monetary system.
Potentially. I mean, but if you look back in history, that happens on a, not a frequent basis, but it happens regularly. Money is a type of technology, essentially. It comes down to technology, right? So right now, we're in the process of testing this 13-year-old technology.
Yeah.
Right. So in the beginning, the funny thing is when you look at the forums, when WikiLeaks turned to using Bitcoin, Satoshi got nervous.
Yeah, of course.
He wasn't sure it was ready for that.
Yeah.
And of course, we've come a long way since then. But it always requires a degree of humility to see, is this network ready for this? Can it withstand a certain state attack? Can it withstand, this happening, right? So everything that Bitcoin goes through, we're testing to see how hard and how durable the network is. So the Mt. Gox attack, certain countries banning it, unbanning it. China banning Bitcoin miners. What happens in this environment? What happens in this environment? What happens if 1 million altcoins try to scam people into going into other systems and then they blow up and they have to sell their Bitcoin into the weak market? So we're testing every step along the way. Is this the right system? What are the attack vectors? Is there some sort of way to exploit it? Can we hack it? Things like that, right? We're kind of testing all this through. And so looking super far ahead can be premature, because we're still testing the system, but we have a clear direction here. The Pandora's box has been opened in terms of cryptographic money, peer-to-peer money, self-custodial, using encryption, and we see a clear direction. And then the question just becomes, does any risk that we haven't accounted for throw us off of that? And if no, then we, basically it becomes continually a stronger form of money than anything we've had before. And then it becomes a question of, what does that mean? What does that mean for central banking? Does it arbitrage between the economy moving faster than the money go away? And does it mean that, we have, say, created some sort of asymmetrical technology that empowers people over larger entities? Because, again, in the prior conversation, we talked about the Oslo Freedom Forum and Human Rights Foundation. This is a strong environment for authoritarian regimes, because if you control the banking system and if you have advanced surveillance technology and, big data, you have a lot of top-down power. And whereas cryptographic money is kind of bottom-up power. And the question becomes, which one of those two forces is stronger? I first heard about it in 2010, and I thought it was neat, but I was
And you
like,
bought a shitload.
nope.
Dope.
Nope. And I kept hearing about it. My biggest question was, because a lot of people that hear it and dismiss it.
Yeah.
For me, I never dismissed it, but I was like, why can't you just copy it? Or maybe they'll make a better one. Or I kind of got the basics of it. I was like, seems neat.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dan.